Fareed Zakaria, GPS, CNN Sunday morning 10 Eastern and Pacific.
There's much speculation these days about the power struggles in China in the wake of the ouster of Bo Xilai, the powerful party boss of Chongqing. China's political system will surely be tested, but in the short run, its leaders may have dodged a bullet. Bo Xilai was a charismatic Machiavellian leader who used populism, money, and power to build a political base. Had he not been brought down by a series of mistakes, revelations, and bad luck for him, he might well have altered the nature of the technocratic system that now runs China. In the short run, China might well survive its political crisis, but it faces a more immediate challenge, an economic crisis. I've been visiting China regularly for 20 years, and every year I heard from experts that China's economy was set to crash, felled by huge imbalances and policy errors. People would point to non-performing loans, bad banks, inefficient state-owned enterprises, and real estate bubbles. But somehow none of these problems proved enough to derail China's growth, which has been an astonishing 9.5% a year for the last 3 decades. But Ruchir Sharma, who runs Morgan Stanley's Emerging Markets Fund, makes a different and more persuasive case in his new book, Breakout Nations. China is going to slow down not because of its failures, but because of its successes. China is on the verge of a natural slowdown that will change the global balance of power from finance to politics and take the wind out of many economies that are riding in its draft, he writes. China's growth looks remarkable, even unprecedented, but it really isn't unprecedented. Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan all grew close to 9% a year for about 2 decades or more. And then they started to slow down. Sharma points out that many China bears think China will suffer the fate of Japan as it crashed and slowed in the 1990s, never to boom again. But the more realistic scenario is Japan in the 1970s, when the original Asian tiger slowed from about 9% growth to about 6% growth. Korea and Taiwan followed a similar pattern. What was the cause for these slowdowns? In a word, success. In all these cases, the economy had reached a middle income range, and it becomes much more difficult to grow at a breakneck pace when you have a large economy and a middle-class society. The surest path to sustained high growth has been to start very poor. Once you reach middle income levels, even well-run economies with strong fundamentals slow down. Sharma points out that China slowing down should not have a huge internal economic effect, but he predicts much trouble for countries that have been buoyed up by a booming China, from Brazil to Australia, as Chinese demand for raw materials drops. He even predicts a decline in oil prices, which, coming on top of the shale boom, should worry oil-producing states everywhere. As for China, Sharma is right to say that 6% growth should not worry the Chinese. These would be enviable rates for anyone else. But China's regime legitimizes itself almost solely by delivering high-octane growth. If that fades, China's economic problems might well translate into political ones.